Hello everyone, back to today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days. For today's second video, that takes around the 19th of November. We'll be able to extend out beyond that, the extended GFS and ECM ensembles running to around a couple of weeks. And we'll have a look at CFSV2 as usual at the end of the video of the next 4 weeks, which will take us into early December. So it's a cold, wet, miserable afternoon out there for many of us this afternoon. There have been the first snowfalls of the season across parts of Wales, in particular, through the course of today. I've got a few pictures and videos at the start of the weekend forecast of some of those snowflakes falling. So have a look at the weekend forecast and see those images of snow that's fell today over Wales. Also, of course, the weekend forecast detailing weather for the coming week, and it's going to be an unsettled and quite cold week to come. Once again. So this video we're going to start off again talking about the flood warnings for England. So of course had those devastating rains on Thursday where we had a month's worth of rain falling in just a few hours across parts of northern England. And that still leaves us with 7 flood warnings, severe flood warnings, meaning a danger to life. So I just took you through where those danger to life flood warnings are. So on the River Don at Barnby Dun, on the River Don at Bentley, on the River Don at Fishlake, on the River Don at Kirk Bramwith, on the River Don at Kirk Sandal, on the River Don at South Bramwith, and on the River Don at Willow Bridge at Caravan Site. In those areas there is still a danger to life from the flooding from Thursday's deluge. So there's also 54 flood warnings. So with these immediate action is required, flooding expected. I haven't got time to go through all of those, but there are a lot of them. So if you think that you could be within that area, I'll just scroll down through these warnings. If you think you could be in this area, then do check out this flood warning information page from the UK government and from the Environment Agency. I'll leave a link to this in the description at YouTube, of course, with the video. There's also 74 flood alerts. Be prepared, flooding is possible. All of these places just here. And 74 flood warnings no longer in force. So it remains quite critical, quite serious in terms of flooding at the moment, following on from Thursday's deluge across the north of England. And you see more generally how widespread the flood warnings are, really stretching from northern England all the way down to the south coast. We have got several warnings and alerts in force, so quite a serious situation. Of course, the worst area is here across parts of Yorkshire and going down in towards Derbyshire. That's where the worst of flooding has been and continues to be. Now it's raining again. This is the latest radar from Gaz Weather. It's pouring with rain again across parts of Northern Ireland, England and Wales. So where it's been very wet though on Thursday, it's not as bad there, although there is a little bit of rain coming through. I don't think it will sort of cause any more flooding in its own terms, because it won't help matters, you know, sort of exacerbate things, I suppose. But the heaviest of the rain is actually down across more central southern parts of England, where we've got these very bright colours mixed in, and also across Northern Ireland. Just quite a cold, wet afternoon across much of England and Wales. Of course, this started off as snow across parts of Western Britain, particularly parts of Wales through this morning. And it's a cold afternoon out there as well. These are the latest temperature observations from XC Weather. So we've got Western Aerodrome there at just 4 degrees. Church Lawford is just at 4 degrees. Birmingham Airport at 4 degrees. Wellisbourne Airfield at 4 degrees, and Lynham at 5 degrees, going a little bit further south towards the south coast, not quite as cold there. Forney Island is at 8 degrees, Shoreham is at 9 degrees, so down on the south coast not quite so cold, but I mean these are pretty cold temperatures really for the south coast for the 9th of November. They're below average, but further north it is even colder than that. Shobdon over in Wales at just 3 degrees, Lake Vyrnwy, where of course it's almost certainly been snowing this morning, at freezing. Harden is up to 4 degrees. Rhyl is at 4 degrees as well around the coast. Capel Curig is at 3 degrees. Sennybridge at just 4 degrees. So you see it's a really cold afternoon out there for so early in the season. Going up towards Scotland, we've got Aviemore at 4 degrees. Inverness is at 4 degrees. Oughton is at 5 degrees. And Belfast over in Northern Ireland just 4 degrees, where it's pouring with rain as well. It's a cold afternoon out there. It's not great at all. There's that 0 degrees just flashing away. Lake Vyrnwy, it's not great at all. Cold, wet and miserable. And remember, it is only the 9th of November, so we're still very early in the autumn and winter season to be seeing these cold temperatures. Could go down to -8 across some northern parts of Scotland tonight. That's a severe frost for so early in the season. And it's going to stay pretty chilly in the next few days as well. More on that, of course, in the week ahead broadcast. Obviously, these cold temperatures are not going to help the central England temperature hold up. So the CET for the first week of November is now in provisional. It is only provisional to the 8th. We're sitting at 7.9, which is almost bang on average, an anomaly of 0.1 degrees below average. So basically about average for the first week of November. But that's quite a drop compared to where we was following the first day, which was relatively mild. The first couple of days of the month were relatively mild, so quite a dramatic drop in the temperature over the past couple of days. I think we shaved off something like 3 degrees in a week, so that's going to carry on falling as well in the next few days, I would have thought. So by the time we look at this, after the coming week is through, so by the time we look at this up to the 15th of November, I would imagine the anomaly will be quite substantially below average, probably more than a degree below average by the time we look at this for the 15th of November, which of course which will then cover the full first half of the month. So that's going to continue to drop, fall away in the next few days. It's going to stay cold and unsettled. These are the 500 millibar high anomaly flow charts for the next week to 10 days from the Penn State University. We've got the ECMWF there on the top, and the GFS, which I'll have a look at in a moment, is on the bottom. So 500 millibars, this area in the atmosphere, where high pressure and low pressure are being moved around by the jet stream. Red extrapolates high pressure, blue to low pressure. So this is what the ECM is showing up to day 10, which takes us into the second half of November. Above average heights, high pressure sitting to the north and to the west of us, and also over to the east on the eastern side of Europe. A large blocking feature, but we're on the cold side of that block, and we've got this trough of below average height sitting to our south, and the upshot is that we pull the winds of a jet stream around like that. So relatively warm air will be pushing up the eastern side of Europe still. We'll have relatively mild winds from the south moving up the eastern side of Europe, but for us in the west of Europe, we will actually be pulling in quite cold winds from the north into that trough of low pressure. So that implies that we're staying pretty cold, really, even going into the second half of November. This is how the GFS is looking, and it's very, very similar, actually. Again, we've got this ridge out to the north and to the northwest of us. We've got the below average heights to the south of us. So relatively warm air is moving up the eastern side of Europe just there, but on our side of Europe we're putting down pretty cold air into that trough of low pressure. So again, it looks pretty cold and unsettled there as we're going into the week to 10 day time frame. As I say, this does get us to the 19th of November, so gets us into second half of the month. No sign of a recovery in the temperature within the next 10 days in that sort of setup. And we see this on the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles as well. Look at Colwyn Bay today. This is another suggested place for our a list of suggested places for this section of the video. If you would like to have your local town or city featured in the videos, in this part of the videos where we look at the GFS ensembles, then you can sort of ask us through the comment section at Gaz Weathers, both YouTube and website, and also you can ask us through our social media accounts on Facebook and Twitter, or email us at gazweathers@gmail.com, and if we can, we will feature your local town or city in this section of the video. Can't go down to village level yet, I don't think, but we can certainly show your local town or city. So the red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Colwyn Bay, and we're starting off pretty cold at the moment. We're going to stay cold on average certainly for the next week, probably the next 10 days. That takes us up to day 10 just there, which is the 19th of November. By then, maybe just trying to stage a little bit of a recovery with the temperature through to the third week of November, although there is quite a lot of scatter in there even then. So even then, we still have quite a lot of members of the GFS ensembles that are really quite cold. These ones down here, but we do have some milder members up here, so maybe we might start to see a recovery in the temperature taking place into kind of like the third week of November. But certainly I think we can say for the next week, probably the next 10 days, temperatures are going to stay pretty suppressed and quite cold, actually. And then again, more significantly than temperature is probably what's going on with precipitation. Bear in mind, this is Colwyn Bay, so it's going to be exposed to rain and weather systems from the Atlantic and the Irish Sea. But it is still a suggestion that the unsettled, or I should probably say autumn deluge, continues really. So loads of rainfall spikes coming up in the next few days. That gets to the 15th of November. Maybe a little bit drier there around days 8, 9, 10. But then it's going to the third week of November. It actually looks like the rainfall spikes start taking off again, if anything. So this period just here looks really wet, actually. This period for a few days could be a little bit dry. I mean, it's not completely dry even then, but it may be a little bit drier. But then this period just here, right in the extended range, taking us through the third week of November, looks like it goes very wet once again. So there's no sign of any sustained drier conditions in the next couple of weeks, and actually there could be a lot more rain to come, I'm afraid, which won't, of course, help the flooding situation. And the longer this goes on, the more rivers we're going to have rising up. So by the time we get through to the latter stages of November, if we haven't had a prolonged period of high pressure, things could be getting very, very serious indeed across many parts of the country with these river levels. Temperature anomalies from the 9th to the 17th of November, below average. Going to be a colder than average week coming up. Not a surprise, given that ensemble from Colwyn Bay we was just looking at. So, yes, temperature anomalies there for the UK, for Ireland, through most parts of Western Europe, from Germany westwards, looking colder than average, but warmth, and the above average temperatures remain on that eastern and southeastern side of Europe. Precipitation anomalies. So, for southern and western parts of the country, looking wetter than average, actually a little bit drier than average parts of Scotland, and also critically down in towards northern England. It doesn't look as wet in the week ahead for northern England. That's good news for those areas around Yorkshire in particular that have been flooded. Not as wet for Scotland, northern England, but looks wet really in the week ahead for more southern and western, southwestern parts of the country. So maybe the flood risks will increase in other areas. We'll have to wait and see. So this is how the GFS is looking for Tuesday, in a cold and showery run of northwest winds on Tuesday. This all covered by the week ahead forecast, of course, but cold and showery on Tuesday. Then in comes this next area of low pressure on Wednesday, sinking south through the country from Wednesday to Thursday, bringing outbreaks of rain, could be snow on high ground on the northern edge of that area of low pressure. That gets out of the way. By Friday, we're into a run of cold northeast winds. If we was another month further on, Those northeasterly winds would almost certainly be bringing in heavy snow showers from the North Sea. As it is, it's only the 15th of November, but nevertheless, maybe wintry showers possible for northeastern parts of the country at the end of the week. We keep those cold northeasterlies going into next weekend, with high pressure just beginning to ridge in from the west, so trying to turn a little bit drier, but it's still cold really for most parts of the country. We've got this trough of low pressure sitting just here across central parts of Europe, and of course it's on the eastern side of that low that we're bringing up relatively mild, even quite warm winds from North Africa up the eastern side of Europe. But on the northern side of this low, that's where the cold winds are moving in from the north. And another way of looking at this is through the upper air temperature, so you can see that across this western and northwestern part of Europe, the upper air temperatures are generally cold, but on the eastern side of Europe, looking at much milder winds from the south. I know we do have people watching from Eastern Europe, from the Balkans, from parts of Greece and Black Sea areas. So you're not going to be seeing any cold weather, certainly in the next week. It looks like the temperatures are going to be staying pretty warm. But of course, things can cool down very, very, very quickly on the continental landmass in the winter. So I wouldn't worry at all if you're waiting for some cold weather, say in those eastern parts of Europe, if you want it to get cold. I wouldn't worry yet at all about that. I think it can very, very quickly change and turn around. You can very astonishingly quickly cool down a continental landmass. We go through into Sunday next weekend, and another system's coming in from the northwest. That's bringing further rain, possibly hill snow with it. And then moving up towards daytime, we do get that build of pressure. So we saw it on that ensemble graph of Colwyn Bay. Just a few days, maybe around days 8, 9, 10, it goes a little bit drier as we build up a slight ridge. It's still cold within this ridge, though, even then. Although the upper air temperatures will probably lift up a little bit, that would be probably frost and fog becoming quite widespread across the country by day 10. It doesn't last very long, though, and we're starting to bring more weather systems in from the Atlantic. This is how the upper air temperatures look by the time we get through to Thursday, the 21st of November. So it's still quite cold across the UK and much of Northern Europe, but look how cold it's beginning to get up in the northeast of Europe, into western parts of Russia, and then down in towards the Baltic and into those far eastern parts of Europe, just on the border between Russia and Europe, if you like. Really severely cold upper air temperatures are beginning to gather. That's just in a few days. So if we go back to the upper air temperatures that we have there on the 16th of November, look how mild it is across not just Eastern Europe, but also in the northeast of Europe and west of Russia too. But then go forward again, that's the 16th, go forward to the 21st, and it's total switch around in that northeastern corner with severely cold upper air temperature. It just goes to show how easily the cold air can dig in to a continental landmass at this time of the year. So those of you in Eastern Europe waiting for winter, it will probably come in the end, but just a little bit delayed. Otherwise, though, we go through to the end of this particular GFS run, and yes, we're back to low pressures coming in off the Atlantic. So as we saw on that ensemble graph, the drier days don't last all that long, and it doesn't take us very long at all to get back into unsettled weather once again as we head towards the end of the GFS run, which is Monday the 25th of November. This is how the GEM is looking again, cold and showery for Tuesday. We keep these unsettled conditions going through the rest of the week. Low pressure diving in from the northwest, slipping southwards in the second half of the week, taking rain with it and pulling in this cold northeasterly wind. We go drier but stay quite cold over the weekend, and then in the very extended range of the GM, by the time we get through to day 10, we're having a go at re-establishing a milder southwesterly there. That's the first sort of mild chart that we've seen for quite some time, actually. That will be bringing in milder air from off the Atlantic. Not supported by what the GFS is showing, though. And then this is how the ECM is looking. So again, cold and showery on Tuesday. Stays unsettled through the rest of the week. This low pressure sinking in from the North Atlantic, bringing further rain, possibly hill snow with it at times. That low pressure moves away to our south at the end of the week, pulls in wind from the northeast. Again, a month on, that will be bringing snow showers from the northeast as it is. It's not going to be desperately cold, but it will be raw, especially on the east coast, and probably bring wintry showers to northeastern parts of the country. Moving up towards day 10, things begin to go rather slack. High pressure still out to our north and west, so low pressure to our east. And the winds still generally coming in from the north to northeasterly direction. Certainly no mild southwesterlies with that one. This is the precipitation forecast from that ECM run from tometeo.com. So we've got today's wet weather, of course, across the country. Some snow was mixed in with that over Wales. Into this evening, we keep wet weather going through parts of the Midlands, East Anglia, over towards North Wales. That might get up in towards flooded areas of South Yorkshire. Then through tomorrow, that wet weather generally dying out, but it's not long before we bring more rain in from the Atlantic. This could turn to snow across Scotland, maybe even down to quite low levels tomorrow night, Sunday night into Monday morning across Scotland. Plenty of rain to start Monday across the country. That clears out of the way, and we're left with sunshine and wintry showers in the northwest. That looks quite interesting for the early hours of Tuesday, Monday night to Tuesday. That's a suggestion of quite a snow event potentially taking place there across parts of Scotland on Monday night as the weather system pushes in from the north. Again, that could bring snow down to low levels for parts of Scotland. Then we're going to wintry showers for Tuesday itself through Wednesday into Thursday. In comes the next massive rain from off the Atlantic. Suggestion that there is hill snow involved with that as well, particularly for more northern parts of the country, but heavy rain also down in the south. All of this very, very marginal, only a couple of degrees either way would make the difference between either just lots of cold rain or widespread snow. We go into the end of next week, and the wind switches into the northeast. We begin to bring showers into eastern and northeast parts of the country, maybe a little bit wintry over high ground as well. And then we're moving up towards day 10. You notice things just drying out a little bit as we get up towards day 10. That's that drier interlude that we saw on the ensemble. But quite how long it lasts, I've got my doubts. And that's how we look at day 10, where we're bringing more rain, possibly wintry showers into northeastern parts of the country. Up to day 10, the ECMWF is keeping it cold. These are the options that we've got on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10, which is the 19th of November. So we have 15 members of the ECM ensembles with above average heights to our north and bringing in easterly winds. They're going to be quite cold. We have 13, including the operational run, again with above average heights to our north and northeast, but below average heights are closer to us, to our south. They're bringing in east to northeasterly winds, quite cold and a little bit more unsettled, perhaps 12, again with above average heights over Scandinavia, below average heights to our south. They're bringing in quite cold easterly winds. And then 11 just here that are more westerly. They've got below average heights over to the west of the country. They're not going to be particularly mild, even these, but they are bringing the winds off the Atlantic as opposed to off the continent. So they're very unsettled and probably a little bit less cold as well. They're the wettest option at day 10. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options we've got. 14 members of the ECM ensembles maintain that high pressure over Scandinavia and continue to bring in easterly winds. But then we've got 14 just here that go very unsettled. Low pressure coming in off the Atlantic. They're going to be turning wet and unsettled. 13 with below average heights over to the west of the country. High pressure up towards Scandinavia. A bit of a battle with those, but could be very wet as weather fronts grind to a halt across the country. And then 10 down here, again looking very unsettled. Below average heights over to the south of the country. So backing up the theme of the video, I think, which is that by day 10 we may be in a drier and potentially rather cold, or still rather cold scenario. But by day 14, we may well be back to the deluge yet again, unfortunately. And then finally, this South Pacific SV2 is looking for the next 4 weeks. So these are 500 millibar heights broken down into weekly periods. The first week period will take us from the 9th to the 15th of November. The coming week will have below average heights pushing in from the North Atlantic. It's going to have blocking up to our north, high pressure up there, and a ridge pulled out into the middle of the Atlantic. The jet stream and the flow is on a northwest-southeast alignment, so cold and unsettled in the week ahead, definitely. Go through to week 2, very little change. It's the 16th to 22nd of November. The broad pattern remains very similar. So again, low pressure is out to west-northwest. High pressure is to the west-southwest. The flow is aligned northwest to southeast. Still cold and unsettled. The warm temperatures are going up the eastern side of Europe with this ridge just here. Week 3, looking like this, is going to be the 23rd to 29th of November. Still unsettled. Could be very wet, actually. Just perhaps a little bit less cold as the wind tilts from the northwest, perhaps more to the west-southwest. Not mild, I wouldn't have thought, but maybe just a little bit less cold there. And then finally, we get through to week 4, which is the 30th of November to the 6th of December. Below average heights again out to our west, above average heights to our east. So sort of westerly type flow. It's still unsettled, even as far as we can go to week 4. Still looks like the Atlantic onslaught goes on. Just the temperature may lift up a little bit, although you'll notice the Azores high remains sort of pulled away from us out in the middle of the Atlantic, sort of displaced slightly further west-southwest than you would normally expect it to be. And as long as that remains the case, as long as the Azores high remains pulled out away from us, not able to pull up those mild southwest winds, as long as that remains the case, we will be at an ongoing risk of bringing down cold air from the north into these troughs of low pressure. And of course, we would need to keep an eye on this high pressure that's sitting to our east-northeast as well, to see whether that would become a Scandinavian high and try to get wind into the east. There's no sign of anything sustained mild coming up in the next week to 10 days. It looks like it's staying cold and it's staying unsettled. So the theme of the past few weeks for cold, unsettled conditions continues, certainly for the next week to 10 days. We may go a little bit drier, though. I think in around 10 days' time, days 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, we might get a run of, say, 4, 5, possibly 6 days of drier weather, but all the evidence really is that beyond that we probably go very unsettled again. And although a few days ago we thought that with that unsettled weather for later in the month it might go milder, I think now the stress is probably that it will stay quite cold, but just go back to wetter conditions, so cold, wet conditions again. So this is shaping up to be quite a cold and wet month, definitely, and we shall see whether we come away with a cold and average November. Early days on that, we're only a week in, but certainly up to the next week, 10 days, temperature staying depressed and staying very unsettled too. Right, that's it for your videos for today. Tomorrow, we're going to have a very busy day coming up. We'll have the 11th Winter 2019-2020 update. That's going to be a real epic, I can tell you that now. We're also going to have a live chat about that winter update, as well as the current weather situation on the Gaz Weather's YouTube channel between 5 and 6 o'clock. We took last week off with the live streams, but we're going to be back this week with a live stream. And also, I've got to get in a Christmas update as well tomorrow. We've got the 4th Christmas update penciled in. So it will be a very, very busy day for tomorrow. Keep checking back for more. If you want to hear that live stream, we won't be streaming it on gazweathervids.com. You have to go to the YouTube channel to hear it live. So subscribe to the YouTube channel, click the little bell icon. That means that you'll be notified, get notifications when we release videos and go live. And it should also start you being unsubscribed from the channel. Occasionally people do get unsubscribed from the YouTube channel, but the way around that is to click that little bell notification icon. And that's how you'll be able to listen to the live stream on the Gaz Weather's YouTube channel between 5 and 6 o'clock tomorrow. Right, that's all for now though, and thanks for watching.